Hello and welcome to the first episode of Stories with Ian. This one being the Halloween Horror Edition. Gosh, I always hate saying that word because it's so close to that word that you should never say. And if you say it too fast, it sounds like that word. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, before me, I have the 15 most scary short stories in the world. And today I'll be reading each of them to you. My gosh, these candles. How do witches and wizards do this? I'm gonna blow them out because smoke is just going into my lungs right now and that's really not healthy. Oh, there's more smoke. Oh my gosh. Cut. But I have a challenge for you. You must watch this video until the end because the stories will be getting scarier and scarier. Because if we get to 150,000 likes, you'll be crowned a true scary story warrior. Exit before the video ends and, well, let's just say you'll be cursed. Oh, and before I forget, remember to like this video because if we get to 150,000 likes, I'll make a part 2 and post it on Halloween. And destroy that subscribe button because if we get to 10 million subscribers, I will host the world's biggest Naruto run. And I'll host the world's biggest pillow fight. Ugh. This pillow cost $2,000. Can you believe it? At that pillow fight, I'll be giving it away to somebody, like someone did for me, because I would never spend $2,000 on a pillow. All right, let's start the stories for realsies this time. Story number 1, scariness level number 1. All right, this one is called Who's in My Bed? It's a really weird name for a scary story. All right, let's start. Also, y'all, this is my first time reading all these stories, so I'm reacting to them at the same time you are. So if I get a little too scared, just know I'm just as scared as you are. Let's dive in. A father went to say goodnight to his 7-year-old son, very well knowing that if he didn't, his son would have trouble sleeping. Am I a good storyteller or what? That was terrible. It was a nightly routine between them. He entered the dimly lit room where his son waited under his blanket. With the first glance, the father could tell there was something unusual about his son tonight, but couldn't put his finger on it. He looked the same, but had a grin that drew from ear to ear. "You okay, buddy?" the father asked. The son nodded, still with a grin, before saying, "Daddy, check for monsters under my bed." The father chuckled a bit before getting on his knees to check only to satisfy his son. There, under the bed, pale and afraid, was his son. His real son. He whispered, "Daddy, there's someone on my bed." Yo, that's scary. Oh my gosh. Wow, okay. And that's level 1. Okay, we're gonna go to level 2 now. It's called The Cabin. A hiker decided to go on a hike by himself, something he was not very used to. The whole day was normal. Trees and bushes engulfed his surroundings. He enjoyed being outdoors in the mountains. Nothing seemed strange to him. That was until he was making his way back to the car. Also, yeah, I'm reading off my phone. I'm sorry, it's not a real scary story book. I know, but listen, not everything on social media is real. Like these stories, so don't get scared. It's only level 2. He figured an 8-hour hike was good enough. This scares me because I'm a hiker and I don't want to be scared next time I go on a hike. The sky was already getting dark and he needed to get back. Fast. What was odd was how much he didn't recognize the trail back. He began to panic. I'm getting goosebumps. As a hiker. Night had already taken over, and all he had was a flashlight, and no clue on how to get back. He knew it was already too late, and too dangerous, to keep going through the perilous forest. He began to worry that he would have no shelter for the night, when almost luckily enough, he stumbled across a broken down cabin. It was dark, and seemed like no one had visited in years, but he knew it was the only place where he could rest until daylight, especially since his flashlight was running out of battery. He knocked on the door a few times but no one answered, so he let himself in. Where strangely enough, a perfect bed fitted for one person awaited him in the center. He knew that if the owner came back, he could explain himself. He was sure that the owner wouldn't mind, or was even probably dead. Say what now? So he went ahead and got himself comfortable in bed. As he tried to sleep, he couldn't ignore the collection of paintings around the room. Portraits of strange-looking people all peering at him. This is freaky. Each wearing a smile that sent chills up his spine. Not too long after, his exhaustion from the hike got the best of him and he was able to ignore the faces. The next morning he got up early and was shocked to see that there were no paintings around the room, but windows. This is freaky. Oh my gosh. I can't, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, this is scary. Okay, level 3. Story is called The Red Wristband. A doctor was working at a hospital where the patients were tagged with colored bands. Green, alive. Red, deceased. One night, the doctor was instructed to get a few the red wristband. A doctor was working at a hospital where the patients were tagged with colored bands. Green, alive. Red, deceased. One night, the doctor was instructed to get a few supplies from the basement of the hospital, and so he headed to the elevator. The elevator doors opened, and there was a patient inside, minding her own business. As she should. Patients were allowed to roam around the hospital to stretch, especially those who have stayed long. The rule was to be back in their rooms before 10. The doctor smiled at the patient before he pressed the number for the basement. He found it unusual that the woman didn't have a button already pressed. He wondered if she was heading to the basement too. The lift finally reached the floor where the doors opened. In the distance was a man limping towards the door, and in a panic the door slammed the elevator button to close. It finally did, and the lift began to ascend back. Up, the doctor's heart pounding. Why did you do that? He was trying to use the lift, the woman stated, annoyed. Lift means elevator, by the way. Did you see his wrist? The doctor asked. It was red. He died last night. I would know because I did his surgery. The woman lifted her wrist. He saw red. She smiled. Like this one? Ah! Creepy! Creepy! Next one is called White with Red, level 4.
Still playing on default skin? Click Claim button to receive the promo for free. It's available until end of the day. Hurry up until it's 100% free. It works on every platform: PC, PS4, Xbox, Nintendo, Android, and even iOS devices. Just click Claim button and follow the instructions. It's that simple. As you can see, it works, and I'll just get some new skins, all for free. Click the link below to learn more.
A man moved into an apartment and heads to the receptionist to get his keys. The receptionist gave him the key with a smile, but warned him not to disturb the door with no number on his floor. He wondered why, but didn't bother to ask. He was too busy with his new apartment to care. After he finished unpacking, he began to get curious. He questioned why the receptionist would warn him such things, and so he stepped out of his apartment to check the other door with no number. Idiot. This is how every horror story starts. Oh my gosh. He tried the doorknob first, but it was locked. So instead, he got onto his knees and peeked through the keyhole. The apartment he was looking into was empty. His eyes scanned the whole place before stopping at a woman. Oh my god, my fridge just made a noise. I hope it was my fridge. She was standing face against a wall in the corner. I can't read this, I'm too scared. He noticed her pale skin and long black hair before stepping back, suddenly feeling perverted in a way for invading someone else's privacy. He brushed it off, assuming she was someone that did not want to be disturbed. The next day, he got more curious about the woman, and eventually went back, straight away, getting onto his knees. He peeked through the keyhole and saw all red. He assumed that the pale woman must have caught him peeking the last time and covered the hole with something red. Gosh, this is scary. He left the door alone and instead went down to the receptionist to ask her questions. The receptionist sighed and asked, "You looked through the keyhole, didn't you?" He admitted to it, and so she felt obliged to tell him the story. She told him that a couple used to live in that apartment a long time ago, but the husband went crazy and killed his wife. This couple wasn't normal. They had pale skin, black hair, and red eyes. That means she was looking through the keyhole the same time he was. Oh, it's creepy. That is creepy. That's just... Yo. The people who make these stories are freaking geniuses. Wow. Okay, next one is called A Mother's Call, level 5. Good luck to me and you, my friends. Oh my gosh. Okay, A Mother's Call. A daughter was in her room upstairs, doing her homework, when suddenly she heard her mother call to come down for dinner. She jumped onto her feet and began making her way towards the stairs. But before she even took a step, hands grabbed her and pulled her into the laundry room beside the staircase. She panicked before realizing it was her mother, her real mother, eyes watery and bloodshot. She said, "Don't go down there, honey. I heard it too." You know those like small sounds you hear in like your house? Because it's like gravity pulling your house down to the floor and just houses make weird noises all the time. Those noises are scaring me way more than normal right now. This is creepy as heck. Oh my gosh. Okay, so that was 5. Now I'm gonna go to the other ones. Those were so creepy. Oh my goodness. I don't even know what to think. These ones are a little bit longer. I honestly might have to make a part 2. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments if you want a part 2. If we get this video to 150,000 likes, I'll definitely make a part 2, but these stories are kind of long, so I might have to make a part 2. Next one, level 6, is called Murderer on the Loose. Y'all ready? Let's do it. A man was laying in bed one evening when he noticed there were lots of sirens in the streets outside, and there was a helicopter flying around overhead, and the sounds of barking dogs and shouting people. He looked out his window and saw a great deal of police activity. That's weird, police activity. Why don't you just say lots of police? Okay. Police activity. So he went online to discover what was going on. Serial killer escapes, said the headlines. As he read further, the man discovered a crazed killer had broken loose, and that he was believed to be in the man's neighborhood. But he wasn't too worried. As the night wore on, he wasn't too worried? Hold on, what?